Alright guys, welcome back to VinteUm's channel. I'm joined by the duo from BA90. We've got Mario, looking beautiful as always with his little head. And we've got Mr. Melo, looking dope. Is that the correct word for the American, like Melo? Dope?
Yeah.
Is he dope?
Looking dope works for me.
Yeah, look at that, he's looking dope. Right, so obviously I've already asked you to check out Benfica After 90 for the first part of this show. If you have checked it, then obviously you're in the right spot now. It's part 2, and we're going to talk about the top 10 goal scorers. I think Mario's going to kick off with that. So, when are you ready, Mario? Give us a good.
Sounds good. You see it on here. We're going to be counting down the top 10 goal scorers of this decade. And we got to round it off from number 10, starting from the bottom. Raul Jimenez. This gem from Mexico came to Benfica and gave us from the bottom to the top 4,349 minutes at the club, accumulating 120 appearances for the club, leading to 15 assists and 31 goals. He was just a beaut to watch. He brought a certain level of fiesta to the club. We love our celebrations, but man, there's nothing cooler than some guy coming out with that mask, whipping it out. It was a blast.
Luchador.
A luchador, man. So,
Luchador.
as the one guy out of the three of us that's closest to Mexico, out in California,
Yeah.
Alex, man, what's your thoughts on Raul, man?
Raul is one of. To be honest, I wish Raul. Looking back at it, I wish Raul did what he's doing now for Benfica. But my memories of Raul were very, very fond. I have very fond memories. Him being Mexican made it, because I'm close to Mexico. It made it a little close to home. I wanted to see him do good. He started in America in Mexico. He was in Agia, right? And then he comes to Benfica. Oh, Atletico Madrid, right? That's who we went to, right? And then he comes back to the Eagle. He goes back to the Eagles, kind of makes it full circle back to an Eagle. So that was pretty cool. I remember a lot of big ones, and like I said earlier in our other video, the Ederson and Raul hookup on the Guimarães. It was epic. It was one of those moments that for me, Raul Jimenez became like a Benfiquista. Like, okay, no matter where he goes, no matter what he does, Raul Jimenez is always going to be a fan favorite. Yeah. Right? Mexican fan favorite. And it makes it cool too, is because we know FC Mexico up north, they love their Mexican soccer players, right? They love it. So to kind of get one who was kind of successful and being good, it always kind of like stuck it to, for me, I don't know why, but it was kind of like stick it in Porto's face a little bit. You know, we got a good Mexican soccer player, and you guys have, who you have. So, so it was always nice. And like I said, he really loved Benfica, even now. He posts and likes and chats, and he's still, go Benfica, all this stuff. So, I love Raul Jimenez. He'll always be one of those guys that I wish him well. I wish him much success. You know what I mean? He's not one of those guys where we're gonna look back and say, yeah, fuck him. He was a part of a lot of good years, a lot of good memories for us.
I truly believe he could have been a top one for us. I think it was a little bit unlucky. Lucky for us, it was a little bit unlucky with Jonas and the people that are up front that were scoring the goals. Mitroglou with the great season he had as well. Mitroglou as well. And then you got Severovic with a great season as well. You always had somebody, always fighting and with him, and he always just came out on the short end. But what he's doing at Wolverhampton proves that he's a good player. He was good enough for Benfica. He just wasn't lucky. If he wasn't our starting 11, I truly believe he would have become a really top player for us.
Yeah, you know what though, too, Luis? I'm sorry, Mario, but Raul, he was given chances. That's why it's like bittersweet for me with Raul Jimenez, because I see him now and he's scoring goals. He's scoring important goals. There was that moment, those seasons why we got him. Jonas was getting hurt a lot. He was missed a lot of games. Raul had chances, man, to really kind of like solidify himself maybe as a Benfica striker, the next coming.
Yes, he did.
The next. Yeah. You know what I mean? He did. Unlike maybe a couple other players, you can look back and say, maybe he just wasn't given a fair shot. Bernardo Silva, Andre Gomes, guys like that, maybe weren't given a fair shake, if little time or no time at all. But this is a player who had minutes under Benfica, who had chances to start, who didn't play bad, he just never quite got over that next level for me, you know?
That's true. I get what you're saying. Yeah, he had these chances. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, but it's still fun. I still have a lot of fond memories of him.
Yeah.
I don't have wish him any ill. You know, as a matter of fact, when he scores, I still feel like we scored. You know, good for him.
Same,
good for you. You know, good for you. So I love Raul Jimenez. He's he'll be one of my favorites. Just random players, not top of the line, but he'll be one of those those role players, those guys who helped your team or helped Benfica along in a season to win a championship. Love Raul.
Yeah. It's one of those guys. In terms of speaking of memories, it's my only Tassa final I ever got to see in my life. I sat down with the ultras, and it's the game where he popped out that mask, and he celebrated. And it was a very good game in 2017. Outstanding player, man. As we kind of move along this list now, we go on to counting down to number 9. We got a current player, Haris Seferovic. He's got himself 6,292 minutes, 102 appearances, 14 assists, and 38 goals. And the one thing that's funny, it's in comparing the previous one, Raul had 120 appearances, but only just over 4,000 minutes, whereas Seferovic just had over 6,000. It goes to say on our previous individual, he was very much a substitute player coming in like a super sub. Yeah. Whereas this man very much came in, especially, he's been with us a few seasons, and you're going to see an asterisk next to his name because he's a current active player. But personally, he came into his own last year, had a hell of a season. Like the majority of those 38 goals came last year. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's one of those players that if we're talking about this season, I don't have time anymore. But if we're talking about a decade and what he's done for us, especially last season with John Felix and stuff, we have to have our respect for him, right? I guess he's up there, right? He's up there with the best. Not top 3, obviously, not top 5, but like you said, he's 9th place. He still makes it there. I just hope that he does something. I hope he's just going through a really, really bad moment. But even if he screws up this season and we had to keep him next season, then hopefully we'll get Seferovic back next season. If this is a season to forget, because sometimes players have seasons to forget, man. You got to remember, Pizzi wasn't always loved by us. By me, he was, but not by everyone, because sometimes Pizzi did piss me off. Even though I always loved him, he pissed me off big time sometimes. So, Seferovic, maybe, hopefully, it's just a one season thing. He's just, I don't know. Maybe his life changed a lot. Maybe the style of football we were playing, with Vinicius coming on as well and stuff. Maybe he misses maybe Jean Felix. Maybe he got so used to having Jean Felix up there. Now he has to get used to somebody else. Maybe it's just going to be one season to readjust, and he's back on track. I respect the guy. At the moment, I just don't have time to discuss him very much, man.
Yeah.
I'll say this about Haris Seferovic. I think if Haris Seferovic was any better than what he is, we would have never even, you know what I mean? Like that's just my thinking, my thought process around it. Like if he was any better than what he could be, Benfica wouldn't even had a chance of signing him. This is a Swiss international player. You know what I mean? Who gets a lot of national team minutes? Who's I don't know, a starter who has a lot of eyes on him at times. I guess in his home country, but he's always going to be a player for me that just it's like, what if he scored all those other chances that he missed? He'd probably be a lot higher on that on that list. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's almost a knock on him that he's only 9. You know what I mean? Like it's a knock on him that he's number 9 on this list to me. That he should be a lot higher with how many chances we've seen him blow.
And you can't compare the squads you have now as well to the days of like Cardozo, for example. Like the squads now as well. Like Cardozo, maybe I guess he had some good squads, but back in the day, people didn't have these sort of squads, dude. Like Nuno Gomes didn't have these sort of squads. And Seferovic was lucky enough to have Jean Felix by his side. Pizzi on his prime. Gabriel gave him some decent balls as well, and he's just, I don't know, man. One-on-ones are not really his thing. The thing is, sometimes he'll just smash it top of the net, and you think, yeah, just do that. But it's when he tries to go for the tap in that he always fucks it up. Just smash it all the time, man. If you can't tap it in, just smash it. Keep smashing it, bro. Like fuck it.
Yeah, I can say this much, man. If we kind of proceed into this new decade, we look at the new strikers we got coming up, and I said Severovich is never part of this team going forward in the future. And people think back of this decade, man, he was the right man at the right time last year. The amount of goals he nailed for Benfica, for him to be in the top 10 for that season, it's fantastic. Now moving on to the next individual, which many people might not recognize the name, Osvaldo, otherwise known as Nico Gaitan. Came in with
Osvaldo.
Whopping Osvaldo. This guy had a whopping 18,782 minutes at the club, 253 appearances, 88 assists, 41 goals. You're talking a man of the decade. This guy clearly had his fingerprints on quite a range of time with Benfica. Man, that's what
I miss him, dude. I miss him.
He is good, man. And as the decade wraps up, his career is kind of, he's getting into his final years himself.
Yeah.
You could say he gave his best years to us, and we got a lot of love. You know, if he wants to ever come back as an ambassador at the club, affiliated with the club, I'd be more than happy to have that man.
Oh, definitely, man, definitely.
A happy individual, man. And to me, and I'll let you guys say some of your bits on it, but it's not the moments with us, it was the moment when he left us.
Yeah,
and
dude,
how just how he was so passionate. That's what I love about these guys.
It was in tears, absolute tears, man.
So you know, I want to say about Gaitan, like you said, Mario, he's welcome back at the club anytime. You know, sometimes like with players like him, when we've talked about this before, you don't want him to come back and maybe be a step slower. Or you know, like he's not informed like he used to be. Like you don't want the last memories of this guy to be anything than what they were on the bench that day when he was crying because of leaving Benfica. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not doubting the guy's talent or anything like that. I just don't want to ruin the good memories, even the sad memories that I had with him. You know what I mean? In a Benfica jersey. So, like I've said before, thank you, but you know. I want to keep my memories. I don't want them to be ruined by, you know, him coming back and maybe not being who he was or even what he meant to our team. You know what I mean? Like the Gaitan's era, like arguably he was the best player on the pitch at times. You know what I mean? Like just his playmaking ability, his goals, scoring. The guy was arguably the best player on the pitch at times for our team. You know what I mean? I want to remember that. I don't want him to come back from a stint from Atletico and a stint from the MLS and come back to Benfica and it just don't taste right. You know, you know, my mom makes it like, I made it like my mom makes it, but it just doesn't taste exactly, you know, how my mom made it. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of thing I don't want to ruin. So maybe, you know, go like play for Braga or something.
I miss him. Yeah. I miss him. I miss him, but it's like I miss the Gaitan he was, not the Gaitan he is. You know, like, he's not gonna come back to be the Gaitan he was, dude. Like, it's like this, right? I miss Jonas, but if Jonas wanted to come back for another season, I'd be a bit skeptical. I'd be like, yo, I miss who you are, but not who you potentially gonna be. You know, like, and you know, it is a great player. We have some of the best memories with him, and you know, and I'm sure he shares that. He left the way he did. Everyone saw he was in absolute tears. And just let it be that love story. Don't try and, you know, like, it's like when you have like a love story with someone and like you know that it's gone to an end, but you try a second time and it just fucks up the whole thing. So it's like, you know, it's a bit like that. We have a love story with Gaitan. He's gone, man. That's it, done. You know, maybe you can come and be our Latin America, I don't know, ambassador or something. You know, the guy that goes to Latin. You know, like, that's it, done. You know.
Great guy, amazing memories for this decade, and yeah, he's one that I think most people will look at it fondly. He had big shoes to fill because at the end of the last decade we had Di Maria, and you kind of looked at Di Maria as such a great, talented Argentinian winger, and to kind of fill that void as another young Argentinian winger, it was and he did it well, man. He did it well. Early on, it didn't feel like it, but he kind of found his own way and he did it well. Because there's a lot of guys that sometimes they don't, you know. You sign someone else to replace a position on the pitch, and it never feels the same. You know, for him, he made it his own, and he did great with it. It was fantastic to have him. And you know what, man? You talked on our show about one of the great memories he had with some of the playmaking that guy had with Lima. Oh. My God, that was amazing. But kind of leading on to one
Or
of the
even
other
that
memories.
free kick. Remember that free kick was against Bayern Munich? Was it against Bayern Munich in the Champions League?
It would have been not last season.
No. This is
gone.
a Gaetan free kick in the Champions League, man. This was damn. I wish I didn't remember that because now it's gonna bother me.
If I can find it, I'll put it up. I'll put it up.
Yeah, we'll put it up. Yeah.
If he doesn't, he'll top it up. But another kind of going on to the memory train of what we talked about last show. The number one moment memory we talked about was Rodrigo's goal against against Porto for that Eusebio memory
match. Yeah. Fuck. We
my
spoke
God,
about that as well. Check out part 1, boys. Like, honestly, if you haven't checked it out, check it out.
That part right there, like amongst the three of us, was that we fully agreed. So coming up as the next individual on this list is Rodrigo, and he takes that number 7 spot there. And man, this guy had 6,680 minutes with us, 119 appearances, 17 assists, 45 goals from the earlier part of this decade. You know what? He came in again very, very similar. You got to fill in some big shoes up front when you're replacing certain players like Saviola and other guys that kind of had left before him. And he sure did, man. He was a very dynamic winger, a Brazilian-born Spanish national, and he worked out fantastic for us, and lots of good memories with him.
That's it. But that's it. Memories again.
I'd say, check out part 1 because I don't want to reopen the whole.
Yeah, otherwise we're gonna keep going on.
Yeah, that'll be another half-hour conversation.
Yeah. And you know what too, Rodrigo had that cool factor too. That's what made him even better to me. Like he was young. When he was with us, he was really young. You guys, I see that video. It's like a GIF on Twitter of Rodrigo, and he's like smiling, like real young Rodrigo on Benfica. You know what I mean? It's one of the most more popular ones. But like, look the vision I have. This young Spanish kid,
happy kid,
scoring goals. Happy kid, man. Yeah, happy kid. And he never threw us under the bus like some players did. One or two, Talishka. But he was, he didn't leave on bad terms. It is what it is. Again, he was one of those guys who go back and show love to Benfica.
Yeah.
I remember there was a game where it was Atletico Madrid versus Valencia, and Rodrigo and Oblak I think it was Rodrigo and Oblak.
Yeah,
they're in the tunnel, and they're kind of looking around, and they see each other, and they're like, Hey,
what's up, bro? Yeah,
They hug and shit. It's like one of those cool moments, you know what I mean? Like not even on Benfica no more. Benfica's not nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
But they see each other and they know that they went to war with each other. They went to war with these games and they went on battles together. And it was a damn cool moment, man. But Rodrigo, for me, short-lived. I wish he could have stayed a lot longer, but he'll be one of my favorite Benfica players. Like just in my memory of this last decade for sure.
Yeah.
Going on to the next category here, Luigi, anything else you want to add on, or?
No, go.
So I'll hop over to number 6 now on the list, Mitroglou, and this guy, man, what a beast! Just over 6,233 minutes, roughly 88 appearances. So he wasn't with the club that long, and on the list, the guy would have probably one of the shorter numbers of appearances. There's a few other guys with, and he had 10 assists. 52 goals, short time at Benfica, but man, this guy was, not to put Sferovic down, Mitroglou, when he left, it was not by choice. It was something that he was kind of shown the door to make way to see if we can get Raul to work on the club. But his time, the guy rarely smiled, but man, when he did crack a smile, he was a fun character to have at the club. I really enjoyed this.
You're saying that when I bought this shirt or t-shirt, whatever, I bought one for my mum, and I got this one with Pizzi, as you guys know, and I bought one for my mum with Mitroglou. It was always a favorite player. Like she has obviously her favorite players like Nuno Gomes. Now she likes Pizzi and stuff, but she always tends to like the players that I like, But this was the first time that she liked a player that, like, it's not like I didn't like him. I liked somebody else. Do you know what I mean? And she's like, this guy what's his name? I'm like, Mitroglou. I like this guy. I was like, really? Usually just go for what I like, but no, she liked him, and I got the top. And you know, I was a bit pissed off when he left, especially the way he left. But to be honest with you, when we went to buy him, I was like, really, this guy like is nah. I don't think he'll do. And they had some interesting goals, like when he was dribbling past players, and you think like, what this guy is that sort of guy that on FIFA has like -2 dribbling, you know, like a really stiff guy, really heavy guy, and you can barely control the ball. But then he's like nutmegging people. So yeah, that's another player I miss. But that one I wouldn't mind if he came back at least for like a year or something.
Yeah, he still looks like he can offer something.
No, he can, yeah.
Going on to the next guy here on the list, we now are in the final 5. At number 5, it is Salvio, a very dynamic winger we did have for many years. Over 17,666 minutes.
Just when I thought we'd never have to talk about this fucking guy again.
Melo.
He gave a lot, man.
Can I say something?
266 appearances, 54 assists, 62 goals. Go ahead, Luis.
Mario knows what I'm gonna say now. I don't know about you, but I have a feeling that even after we talk about him this time, we still gotta talk about him after at the end of the show. So yeah, stay tuned.
I honestly, man, he to me he had a very interesting career at Benfica because he had that stint as a loan from Atletico Madrid. He had won the Europa League, came to a loan for us, went back to Atletico to win the Europa League there with them, and then we finally bought him. And he was a big purchase for Benfica at the time. Like, it wasn't like he was a cheap player, and he was a good quality. It was not an unknown. Like, it's one of these rare times Benfica took a good quality player from another club and said, you know, we want you to be us. You got to test run with us. And we gave him a decent contract, and we kept renewing and paying him decently. And the guy, unfortunately, was hammered through injuries throughout his time with us, whether it be his ankle, leg. He had his wrist for a long time with a red cast on. But, man, the guy, he's a player that everyone sometimes would love to hate because he always tried to dribble past one too many guys. That's honestly a memory that will always stick with me. But in the end of the day, man, he had some friggin' amazing plays, and he did a lot of good for the club.
He did. And I know it sounded rough, fucking guy. It sounded rough, but here's my problem. My problem wasn't with Salvio. My problem was with Benfica. Benfica never got, like, there was a moment where, okay, you know he's not who he is, but you can still get something for him, right? You can still get some coin back. You maybe there's a point you can get $15-20 million for him. But we never let that happen. We never did that, unlike everybody else. And this is where he started to try to dribble past and make too many passes and pass when he should have shoot when he should have passed, right? It just and then he starts getting where other guys are coming up behind him, right? We're like, we have all these other options, right? This guy's just not taking care of it. So I've said it before. I love Eduardo Salvio as a Benfica player. Like you said, it's easy to hate him. You love to hate Salvio. He sometimes was a scapegoat in a lot of times, but I remember a lot of important goals that Salvio scored. So I don't want to make it seem like I didn't appreciate the guy, but it was just Benfica kind of just never, like, he was the man, and now he's coming back and now he's playing really well, but you don't want to sell him because you still have, it's a Benfica friendly contract. So then what happens? We sell him for $3 million at the end of his prestigious career with Benfica to Boca Juniors. You know what I mean? Like, it just, it never sat right with me how we treated him, but how we also treated every other player that was like Salvio. We let him go. We got something for them. But Salvio, they just kept him around, and we ended up seeing, like, the fall from grace, I guess you will. Maybe I'm being a little harsh.
Yeah, but I would say this much. I think our number one complaint is we'll have guys like Rodrigo or other guys that are like, oh, I love this guy, he's doing good. Why couldn't we hold on to him a little bit longer, right? Maybe they've got a couple knocks on him, but maybe, and sometimes it pans out and it works out great. In Salvio's case, his final couple of years weren't as illustrious as his early years with us, but I still feel he played a critical role, in my opinion. And I'd say going on to the next individual on the list, who's played not only a critical goals throughout this decade, but will continue to play a very critical part in this team. And it's the second player on this list that's a current player. And that's Mr. VinteUm right here, Luis. We got Pizzy on the board. He actually had to double check my eyes. He has an even 19,000 minutes right now, so he's got an even score to kick off the decade, end the decade. I guess the guy's a little OCD, likes to keep his minutes level. 255 appearances, 77 assists, and 65 goals. This man is not only a player of the decade, he's a player of our Liga. He is a stud.
I'm so fucking hyped right now.
This guy is a rock star. I personally, and the thing is, we talked about just Salvio now, talking about how a guy is after so much time with Benfica starts tapering off. This guy's like a fine Portuguese wine, man. He's just getting better with age. Like it's just like he just gets better. Like I would love to. We're gonna be doing this 10 years from now, wrapping up the decade for the next decade, right? The 20s. And I hope we're talking about Pizzy on that list because he feels like we can give us another 3-4 years
yeah,
of
hopefully.
great production.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love the guy, man. Like again,
did you say? I'm sorry, Luis. Did you say what we talked about? He's on pace. What he's on pace for? Arguably, what he could be on pace for?
100. He's gonna be 100. He's gonna be 100. I believe it. By the time he's done at Benfica, he'll have over 100 goals and over 100 assists.
Imagine that, Luis. Imagine that. A Benfica player. And we looked, I'm not sure that we looked at, did you look at Eusebio's assists? Remember we talked about that? I'm not sure there is a player that played for Benfica with that stat line.
There's not many in the modern age. Not in the modern age that have had that many assists.
100, bro. 100.
If you go out at night with Busy, you're getting laid, bro. Because he's that sort. He always is, like it's just assists, right? You're getting laid that night. You know you are, because you know with a fucking guy giving you the ball like that, you know, fuck.
Well, you think he's at 77 assists. The guy only needs 23 more assists, and he's having one heck of a season this season to start off the new decade. If he keeps his pace up, I think by the end of next season, he can clearly clear that 100. And I think before his time's done at Benfica, he could actually come close to hitting that 100 goal mark. I think that will be something he'll be chasing.
Imagine the suits.
Oh my God, I am surprised he doesn't have the captain's armband. I think he might.
I
going
hope
up
so.
on the list, man.
I hope so. Maybe next season. Hopefully, let's go.
Yeah. So we're gonna go a little bit further back in the decade, back in time a little bit. The number 3 on the list is one heck of a player, Lima, another individual that had an affiliation with Braga because he did have that. He played over 10,693 minutes with us, 145 appearances, 24 assists, and 70 goals for his time with us. Man, I love that guy, man. I love the true striker Benfica. That is my system. He is, if you think of this decade, a secondary striker. I think you can have an argument between him and Mitroglou in terms of you had your main guy. His era was a Cardozo Lima era. You had the Jonas Mitroglou era. Man, these guys as partners, collaborators, it's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just start laughing because like Melo just as you do. Yeah, tequila. Hey.
It was tequila. You noticed the lime bite.
Of course, yeah. Did you have the salt?
Yeah. Nah, bro.
Oh, okay.
No,
it's like, it's just, you know, she has, was that your missus?
Nah, it's my brother-in-law.
Alright, I don't know, somebody gave you something, you're like, yeah, cool, no worries, mate, yeah, cheers. Oh, no, yeah.
It's a decade, right?
Hey, what else do you do when you talk FIFA, especially the top 5 goal scorers, or top 10 now? We're in the top 5 now with Lima, huh?
Lima, I tell you what, I think we spoke about this again in part 1, but the Lima goal against Juve. Remember when we beat Juve and they were gonna play the final at home because it was in Turin, and Lima just cracks one out of the box and it just goes in. You're like, fuck, dude. I remember the explosion. It's like, whoa, we're gonna beat Juve, dude. We're gonna beat Juve. Like, you know, even what's his fucking name? The wafer guy. I forgot his name.
Bellini or
something Bellini or some shit like that, right? It was like, oh yeah, nah, yeah, but unfortunately this is how it ends for Benfica, all this stuff, because he's a Juve supporter. And even like one of the legends there as well, I can't remember, somebody from Italy was like, oh, Benfica, yeah, well, this is probably the easiest game until, you know, from the group stage and stuff. It's like, these motherfuckers, I think under Pirlo, whatever you want to say his name, I think he said something as well. And I'm like, look at these fucks, dude, like, disrespecting like this. And then when Lima just cracks that one in, I'm like, say what now, motherfucker? Come on, just like that explosion.
We talked about that. We talked in the first part. We talked about that Juventus win. How like in this decade, a final game, like we had some momentous wins and these guys played such a critical part in it, especially in this. I'm thinking.
You know, I was gonna say, with Lima in the sporting, I'm watching it right now. It's playing right here on my phone. Yeah, Luis, the way you explained it. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have explained it any better. It was pure as hell. I mean, it was that goal was fucking amazing. When you were talking about it, I didn't really quite get. Man, I was trying to remember it. I'm trying to remember it, but now that I actually see it, yeah, we should have almost came up with the best goal.
Yeah, top goals, yeah.
Top goals, yeah, because Jesus Christ, that goal was amazing.
Yeah, we could do it.
Part
3, yeah. We do it. We do on the Zagish channel, you know.
And you know what I want to say?
I hear Sporting 360's got a pod because so many of those top goals are against their team, man. You gotta share.
You know, I want to say this, and this is a shout to Vinicius, Lima, another Brazilian, right? Another Brazilian striker who did very well with Benfica, right? Like it just, we talked about it on one of Benfica after 90s with how Carlos Vinicius comes into the club, you know, speaks Portuguese, Brazilian, just feels comfortable with the club. You know, a guy like RDT and things like that. Like Benfica have a history of these Brazilian players, man, and I like it. I don't mind it at all. You know, Lima's one of those guys. To me, I was not as big on Lima as maybe I should have been. I didn't appreciate him as much as I should have, knowing that he's a top 4. But like guys like Rodrigo, guys like, you know, Jonas. Yeah, they always, like, to me, were just, even Enzo, you know what I mean? Like, even though he left us bad, like, even Enzo kind of just had those, he just meant more to me. I don't know why that is. I could quite guess why that was. You know, Lima just always didn't feel, I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, I
know what you're saying. Lima is a man who came here and got the job done and did a great. And that's it. Then he left.
And that's it. Yeah.
He did good work. It's kind of like you call someone to do some housework for your house, and man, the guy's a professional. The guy was well put together, good-looking man. Put everything nicely done. Paid him his check. He said, "Thank you very much." He said, "Have a good day. Call me if you ever need anything," and he left. Right. Whereas like some of these other guys, sometimes they would come in and it's like, "Man, you want a beer? You know, you did great work, but do you want to hang out a little bit? Because, you know, you like, it's just, there's a certain vibe you got out of other players. But Lima, great player, man.
Yeah, Lima.
I gotta say, okay,
absolutely,
now for the next one. The next one, Luigi's gonna play this.
This is number 3?
No, number 3. No, we're done. Lima's number 3.
Mm.
Number 2. And this is what we play out here. And we got the legend, Cardozo. And this man is the only man with an asterisk on his name with the single to signify a player that is a multi-decade individual because he played such a big part in the previous decade, carried over to this decade. What you see now here on your screen is a man with 11,843 minutes. His total time at Benfica was over almost 21,000 minutes at this club. So he spent half this decade, one foot the other decade. 166 appearances this decade, 21 assists, 94 goals to round up number 2, second best striker for this decade. Total career of 166, so not too shabby to in terms of what he did, a little bit more this decade than the previous. But man, this guy is a beast, a legend, one of my personal all-time favorites. I just love this beast. He was vicious, and I loved him because, and I'll let you guys talk in a second, but man, he was a threat to anyone and everyone, especially Sporting. Like when it came to like those big game moments, he did deliver.
I think that's what separates him too sometimes in Benfica's minds with Jonas. But like we said earlier, what Cardozo meant to certain Benfiquistas, what Jonas meant to certain Benfiquistas. Cardozo is always going to have that. He showed up in big games, right? Because Jonas didn't play very well against Porto and didn't play very well against Sporting, very much at all. Maybe he scored 2 goals, maybe his whole career versus those clubs.
Yeah.
I think Cardozo And I'll say this: I'll never forgive JJ for a lot of things, but I won't ever forgive him for how he treated Cardozo at the end of his career. You know he wasn't the best anymore. He wasn't as hot. You know, he came in that European final. He misses the PK. I just, you know, to me, it was JJ's fault. You know, he discarded him like he was nothing. Like he meant nothing to the club. He left him on the bench to rot and only calls on him, you know, like in impossible moments. Like that Cardozo was going to come in and score like you know, an 82nd minute, you know, game winner.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. For a lot of the things that JJ did that pissed me off, how he treated Cardozo at the end, I'll never. And maybe it was Cardozo's fault, and maybe he's a hot head, and he didn't like JJ. We get it, but I just didn't like how he handled Cardozo at the end of it. And you know, unfortunately, our last memories of Cardozo were just they weren't good. You know, like it was sad.
Yeah,
It was fucking sad.
It was a very. I will always remember fondly, but to me, it's a little, and I hope over time changes a bit. But it's a little heartbreaking that a man like him, because you see guys like Nuno Gomes right now affiliated with the clubs. You see guys that are Portuguese, guys that aren't Portuguese, guys that did great things at this team that did a lot less than what Cardozo did for this club. Cardozo was a guy that came in during that dark period of the previous decade and kind of was a tough, mean motherfucker. Like he was just one hell of a brute. He didn't take shit, and he just like plowed through. And just he was a workhorse, and even though Benfica weren't winning glamorous amount of titles during that time period, he worked through it and helped us get to that stage. I think he kind of helped carry the team over to that next stage on the striker front, and also set that marker down. And yeah, man, Luis, you got something to say on Cardozo, or do you want me to?
Nah, quick thing. Obviously, I'm not gonna go on about how great it was for us. I remember a goal against United where he controls it with his left foot and smacks it with his right foot. I'm thinking, what are you doing? I thought he didn't have a right foot. But funnily enough, I met. There's only like 2 players that I really met my whole life, like properly. Cardozo is one of them. I remember I was I was coming back to the UK, I believe, from Portugal, and I'm walking and I'm like checking my phone, and we go into the security, and everything around me just went like pitch black. Like I was like, the fuck happened? And I turn around and it's this fucking huge monster. And I'm like, fuck, that's Cardozo. And I was a little kid. I was like, I don't know, man, like 12, 13, I don't know. No, more. 14, 15, 16, something like that. So I'm still like, you know, I'm just shocked to see him, right? So I'm like, I see him, and I'm like, dude, what do I do? So I just did what, like, a stupid kid would do. I just didn't do nothing. I just ignored the whole fucking thing, put the phone back in the pocket, did all the check, and then I left. And then I was like, everyone had stopped him to get, like, all the signatures. I'm like, oh, I'm such a fucking pussy. Why did I do that? Why did I have to run away? Like, ignore it? Like, yeah. But yeah, so that's...
You know what? You know why? Because you listened to that chant that got played out. You know, you got "Tens cuidado."
Yeah, ela perigoso. Yeah, that's it. Ele wasca, yeah.
You know, and he is the only guy on the top 10 list that had like an entire song dedicated.
Yeah.
Let that sink in. I think, you know, many years from now, when the 3 of us are long gone and they do like a Benfica the Millennium, they look at the 100 years. There's a chance this guy might make it on that list, because you look at this kind of result, you look at just the amount of total goals he got, not only in this decade, but between the 2 amount, it is something else. This guy ended up finishing his time at Benfica with 166 goals, and that leads into our number 1, the man that had huge shoes to fill. And my God, did he ever fill them well? That is our Jonas Pistolas.
Jonas!
13,127 minutes, 183 appearances, 42 assists, and 137 goals. That leaves him as this decade's top goal scorer, the number 1 man. And you know what? We talked about it on the first episode, the signing of Jonas as like a momentum and a moment changer in this decade. It was big shoes to fill, man. And my God, did this guy ever do it? And he did it with some nice little swagger with it also.
Like I said before, Jonas, he's the fucking man. He's the man. He's the 10. He was the 10. He earned the 10. He didn't start as the 10, but he earned the 10. and he wore that goddamn jersey proudly. And he scored a lot of fucking meaningful goals. I'm not sure we even covered this. Maybe I don't think we did live, but 92nd minute at the Bessa against Boavista, 92nd minute winner. It shit was beautiful. You know what I mean? It was one of those goals that are gonna grow in everybody's mind for sure.
Yeah,
and just kind of sums up the career that he had.
Cool. So yeah.
All right. With that said, we're gonna go on to the top 11 of the decade. All right. We're gonna come up with our top 11s. Right. And then we're gonna discuss it, and we're gonna have one top 11 for Benfica after 90, VinteUm. I don't know what's going on. That's cool. It's putting me off, but that's all good. Right. So that's okay then. What's going on then?
So, anyways.
I mean, he's
been a long
drinking
decade.
he's drinking tequila.
Right,
the guy up there.
We've been fucking teams for a decade, okay? Straight fucking for a whole decade.
Let's just take a moment, everyone. Appreciate. This is
appreciate what we've been doing.
The question here. The big question here is: do I leave this in or do I edit it out? You know, that's where I am at the moment.
You leave that in.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
Let them know we've been fucking for the better part of a decade.
What Alex just said about the
we've been laying good pipe for 10 years straight. I'm just saying.
That's when you can put up the figures of like us against the clubs and shit. How we just owned this decade.
Okay, more work. Great. Top 11.
Goalkeeper.
Go on, Melo. Who have you got? Top decade.
Ederson. I gotta go Ederson. He's got too much swag. The motherfucker had too much vision coming out the backfield. He'd drop a ball on any player midfield. Like, the motherfucker was just dope. The neck tattoos, young, Brazil, Portuguese, Benfica, Ederson, top notch, best goalkeeper of the decade. No doubt about it in my mind.
Boom.
Yeah,
I think we all agree, right?
Yeah, I got lots of love for Oblak and Julio Cesar, what they did, but Ederson, man, he's my man also.
We're going Ederson, all of us. I like it.
I will say one thing though. I can show this as well. I had Oblak first, and then I looked at the amount of games he played. And I was like, really? He only played 16 games? Because in my head, he played a lot more than 16 games. But I checked 4 different websites for that. And I was like, okay, well, in that reason alone, I'm going to give it to Ederson. Because for me, it was very close, man. Like, stupidly close. But obviously, Ederson was with us for a lot longer. So, yes, I believe we can click that one in. Ederson is our goalkeeper, right, of the decade.
Are we gonna go right back or left back? What do you want to say?
Let's go right back first.
Right back. That's how the team. That's how it goes. You go right back.
Right back. For me, there's not many players I would say like a one season wonder that are having the top 11. But I gotta give a one season wonder to Nelson Semedo as my right back. Is that what do you got, Alex?
Yeah,
I love the celebrations. Yeah.
Hey, Nelson Semedo. I mean, I'll tell you what. Prototype of a right back. What he meant to Benfica's attack, how great he was. I mean, Nelson Semedo, no doubt about it. He's the best right back of the decade for Benfica. Electrifying.
And no disrespect to Almeida, thank you for all the amount of time you've had with us, but that's the right back we want. That's the one when we had Almeida, then we got Semedo. It's like, sorry, take your spot on the bench. And ever since we lost Semedo, it's like, can we get another Semedo again? I thank you for being involved in these title celebrations. It seems like you're really enjoying yourself. You got your medal also, a participation medal. I like it. And I love Almeida, good player, but man, Semedo was something else. And also the reason why for me is that he captures what this decade also means. We transitioned from a club that was buying to a club that was developing. And he is one of those gems that we developed.
Yeah. So we got Ederson. We have Semedo. Okay, we're gonna go centre backs, right? Don't have to say both of them. Just me.
We're gonna argue here.
Are we?
We're gonna argue.
Okay, so
Let's touch both. Let's toss both out. And we'll find the commonality. And we'll
Okay.
put the argument.
So wait. So I
Okay.
say this. Wait. Toss it all out, and then at the end we talk. All right. So Melo.
Okay.
Toss it.
Melo.
All right. So I seen the list. I wasn't gonna. I
Checked it twice.
Just fucking go, dude. I'm nervous for this.
can't. All right. I can't go Garay. I'm going Luis, and I know it was only half a season, but David Luiz is my second center back. There's no doubt, because if it was up to me, I would have never let him go. He'd have been a Benfica player his whole fucking career. So for me, it's Luis Son and David Luiz, the curls for the girls, baby.
Okay. Mario, what you got? What you got?
I love it. I love you, Alex, man. I love it. You know what, man? I love what Alex said. But Louis Zell, clearly, that's the winner across the board. One of the center backs. I got, again, for this, if we're talking about last decade, or somehow, it's just timing, man. If this decade started 3 years earlier, it's a fair argument that Luigi would have been a good runner and contender for it. But Garay, to me, how he came in, he was like an established, strong. So you took a kid like Luis that got developed to be a proper center back, and when he was gone and we were looking at options, you brought in a proper center back to replace him. Because there's been a few times where Benfica does not replace players. Like, we get rid of a player and we bring in some kid with no experience. And Garay came with, like, I don't know, he was a solid player. He could dribble the ball, make passes. That's my guy.
And like you said, with professional, right? Come in, go home.
Yeah. It's
Luis, where do you sit?
Me, I've got Luis Zhao, so obviously Luis Zhao is out, is guaranteed there. Then, so Mel said David Luiz. You said Garay, right?
Yeah.
I have Garay. I have Garay.
Hey, you got me. You guys got me. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
We gotta pencil in Garay.
The one thing I gotta give him a special shout out, because he's on his third season with us, Ruben Diaz.
Yeah.
You gotta give him a special shout out, because he is turning.
I'll give him a nod.
Well, we gotta go to the bench. We gotta go to the bench. I'm guessing those are the players that you're probably gonna give.
Yeah.
A shout
There's
out.
no way I'm wasting a roster bench on Ruben Diaz. I'm sorry. There's no way. I'm sorry. And when you hear my bench, you're gonna say, okay. Yes, you're gonna say okay.
You know what we're gonna do? You're gonna take that bench. You're gonna sub out the defenders and put that bench on and be all attack.
My defenders don't come out. They stay in the fucking game. You don't defend. You play with the front.
I'm curious on left back if we got the same ones.
I think we all do. We better. I don't want to hear Maxi. If I hear Maxi,
Okay, no, wait.
No.
I know.
I'm gonna leave the call.
I have a feeling I know what Mario has. And I know that I might not have what Mario has. So I want to know what Melo has first. Who have you got?
You might be the tiebreaker, Melo.
Okay, so I could never kick Fabio Contral after
fuck
he held
him.
that
Who the
scarf
fuck's
up.
that? No
Never.
idea who it is.
Fuck that guy. Maxi, never. You put blue on, you're dead to me.
The
You're
fuck?
dead.
Who's
You're
Maxi?
dead. Exactly. The best left back of the decade.
Okay, so I can only see two left.
Alejandro Grimaldo has to be the best left back of the decade.
Who?
It
Which
is
one?
what it is. Grimaldo. Alejandro.
Okay,
It's Alejandro.
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
I'll say something. Wait, I'll say something. I chose Grimaldo, right? But wait for this.
Wait, let me go. Then Luigi's gonna be the tiebreaker. Because to me, I was thinking Grimaldo. But that Fabio. No, I'm fucking with you. No, for
That
me,
Fabio, fuck off. Like,
he's gonna. No.
he's off.
No, for me, Eliseo, to me, because when we're talking about the moments of this decade, man, that guy, I think the specialty of that guy had a moment. We talk about moments, we didn't even touch on this too much. We touched about the Tetra win in the first pod. We touched about Eliseo being part of that. Hey, coming out on the scooter and celebrating. Another moment of this decade has to be this past season when we're celebrating. And there comes a retired Eliseo with a fedora and glasses. Here's a man that comes out and he just like, he's part of it. He's into it. I think Grimaldo's the better left back, the better fullback. Eliseo is just this guy that like bleeds Benfica at just a different level. And that's why I decided to insert some like emotion in there.
Cool.
You know what's funny too, Mario? That I didn't even name him, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean any disrespect to Eliseo or the Familia.
You're immediately just disrespect to the others.
Yeah, there's I meant disrespect to
That
the
was a
others,
list of
but,
people that needed to be
but
disrespected.
and I'm not mad at that, but honestly, and Luis is gonna tie break this, but Grimaldo, I mean,
Oh no no
I
no.
said this our first season on Benfica after 90. I think Grimaldo's gonna stay with Benfica a lot longer than people think. I don't think he's going anywhere next year. I think Grimaldo's gonna be a Benfica player come 2020. I know it. I just have a feeling he'll
Well,
continue the next one.
so people got I got Grimaldo, so yeah, like I love the kid. I love the kid, man.
It's all.
I get what you mean though. Like Eliseu is like that figure, that guy from Benfica that and he had some great games. He had some great goals as well, smacking it out of the pit, out of the halfway line. Grimaldo just grew up in me though. Like Grimaldo was like, now he's like, whoa. Like every time he's played, I'm like sort of confident he's gonna do well. So
he's a great talent. The only
Right.
thing I gotta say
Except, wait. I don't want to keep watching Grimaldo take the same free kick over and over and over. And God damn.
when he scores those goals, though. Whew.
When, Mario? When he did it one time. One fucking time. In New Jersey.
I saw it live in New Jersey. And that jersey stayed with me.
La puta haven't got one since that day, gosh damn. Since that day. And he gets this thing. I'm like, this guy, man. Why? Why does he get it?
I just gotta add a comical shout real quickly. Because Alex listed off almost every fullback we had, like main one. You never mentioned the World Cup winning Captavia. He played in this decade for like a couple of matches. Do you remember that? That was the worst. The most hyped up signing I think we've gotten on the fullback side is the most hyped up signing we got this decade was the biggest flop.
Literally, yes. My ass. You just chewed my ass. Just got chewed off right there with that name.
You know who was a better fullback than Captavia? What was his name? Malgaray or whatever is that winger that JJ converted as a fullback?
Yeah,
ended up being a better fullback than Captavia.
So I want to do this
what
now,
a great
right?
soccer name, man. So we got Ederson,
Semedo, Garay, Luizão,
Grimaldo.
Good team.
Right. And now we're gonna have 4 midfielders, right? I'm just gonna name one right now and see if
why don't we do the 2 wingers and the 2 midfielders? You know what I mean? Like let's do the 2 wingers. And
yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest that. So I was gonna suggest
reading your mind and
the left winger. Right winger first, then left winger.
But I don't have I honestly, God, okay. Yeah, we can do that. We can do
so
that.
right winger.
Okay, that's
I'll
fine.
say right winger, right?
Well, you can do a different formation of your mid.
Or
right,
we can just do the midfield. We say 3 midfielders for now, and then we leave one because I want to leave one for the end.
Okay.
Okay,
All
look,
right.
I'll tell you this, right? I've got a midfield.
Okay,
right?
how about this? Let's say you're 3 that you think everyone will have.
Yeah, that's it.
And then the 4th one's probably gonna be the debate.
Okay, so let me see. Let me do this, right? So I've got one of them, Pizzi.
Yep.
Everyone's got Pizzi. Okay.
Yep.
Then I got Nico Gaitan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And then Salvio.
Oh man.
I got him. I got Salvio.
No.
But now my other.
Look at him.
Alex got 2 other guys.
Wait,
What's the other 2 then?
So you got Nico.
So we got Pizzi and we got Nico covered.
Nico and Pizzi.
I'm cheating again. I'm not putting Salvio in my midfield before I put Angel Di Maria in my midfield, bro. He was there. It was there at the cusp. He was there.
Oh my god. I didn't put him because he plays like half a season or some shit, dude. Like.
Yeah, I don't care. Check.
That fucking guy was there. Listen, I struggled with it. I'm not gonna lie, but there's no way. I couldn't put Angel Di Maria in my midfield. If at any game in this decade, there's no way he's not going to the goddamn team.
Would you have
There's
Mario?
no way that.
I have so we had
No, wait.
Salvio.
Did you have Salvio?
Nico, Gaitan, and Pizzi. Yeah, I had
Okay.
Salvio.
Okay. So
Uh,
me and you have Salvio. So fuck what you're saying, bro. All good. I'm joking.
Well, here's where it gets interesting. The other category, because this is where some debate can happen. My other, the fourth.
There is no way. Okay. I'm telling you, we have three
this.
different ones.
I struggled so much with this because I bounced around a bit, and I finally settled on Enzo. The box workhorse.
Yo,
I finally settled on.
yo, Melo, who you got?
Who do you got?
You got Matic.
I got Axel Witsel.
You got Whistle. Okay. He's a good player. He's a great player.
I got Axel Witsel. I know, Luis. I'm cheating, bro. I'm cheating. But you don't have my bench yet. But I got Axel Witsel, bro. That's my fourth.
Okay,
that's my
so
fourth midfield.
I don't want people to start chatting shit. I've got Enzo Perez, right? He's right there. But honestly, Melo, I was so close. But like it was never between Matic. I never look. The three people I had there, no lie. I had Witsel, Enzo, and Fazer. Because I was thinking, this guy did well for us, right?
King Fazer.
Right? And then I was thinking...
5 chips?
Exactly. And I was thinking, Fazer.
Fazer was a tank. He was a tank.
You know?
I had the hard time. To me, I was looking... So, I looked at... Because I saw a lot of people call it Matic. But personally, he was a great player. I looked at Enzo. I looked at Fazer. And I also was looking at... I just liked Xavi Garcia. I really like Xavi Garcia.
Yeah.
Not the greatest midfielder, but I as a guy personally, I like this decade.
Fuck, that's insane.
I'm actually looking at like Fasia, and I'm thinking, fuck, you know what? Like, anyways, it'll be interesting. The bench is gonna be interesting then.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure we're going to agree on the strikers. There's unless somebody.
Strikers, I think, are easiest.
Okay, so
I personally go with Cardozo and Jonas.
Same.
Easy.
Okay,
This
cool.
is done. Now,
Those
what
are
gets
easy.
interesting is, let's say for the bench, you can have one striker.
Okay.
Do you want to limit it? Or no, do you want 3 strikers? I don't know. Alex
I'm
is
kidding.
No.
I just want you guys to know that. I just want you to know that my 11 would beat both of you guys' 11. I'm just saying. I just want to say.
Look at this, mate. Salvio's gonna have one of those games. You're gonna be like, fuck.
He's gonna go past 3 of those extra guys that we didn't have.
and then blow his fucking out in the.
That's why we got the substitutions.
All right. Okay. So how about we do this? How about we just say our 3 subs, right?
Yeah.
Go, Alex. I'll let you go.
Okay.
You got the most different one.
Yeah. My bench consists of João Felix, Matic, and Rodrigo. Those are my bench. That's my Rodrigo. I got Rodrigo,
okay.
João Felix, and Matic. Those are my 3 bench players. Because, like I said, I had Matic in my midfield. It was Axel Witsel or Matic for me. And I went with Axel Witsel just because he's a better player overall. So that's what I went with. Like, in the world of soccer, football, Axel Witsel is the better player. But Matic has to go on my bench because he was a fucking stud for JJ. JJ put him in. He flourished under JJ. João Felix, because you need a phenom, you need a kid, you need somebody who's gonna come off the bench, make some noise, score a goal against Sporting, score a hat trick in the Europa League, let motherfuckers know I'm here. And Rodrigo, like I said earlier, because he's cool as the other side of the pillow, man. He scored great goals, and that celebration at the Porto game, that Eusebio game, will always be ingrained in my mind. He deserves a place on the team. He deserves a place on my bench.
Okay. Mario.
I had a hard time with this, man. So I tried going with
You had a hard time? I only have 2.
Yeah, okay. I had Rodrigo and Fasia as like the 2 most solid ones in my mind. You know, because I went with Enzo in the midfield, I wanted like a proper defensive mid if needed. Rodrigo for what he did with the Zebi Cup. Rodrigo was prime. I loved him for what he did. And I really struggled with this. I like Rafa. I love Rafa. You know, so I was thinking more of that midfielder player. So that's kind of where I went with. But that shout to João Felix is such a great shout because he was, you know, It's just because he was with us just that one bit, that one blip of a season, and he kind of came in really later in the fall. So I think of the decade, and I feel Rafa's been around for quite some time. Started very slow with us, but is really coming to his own in the latter half of this decade.
Okay.
So your bench is Rafa, Rodrigo,
and Phasia.
Okay.
So you got Rodrigo's commonality, so that guy's getting on the bench.
He's on the bench.
He's on the bench.
That's true. Let me just
what's Luis has?
He has Binha, Captavia.
Oh, Binha! We forgot Binha.
Look at this dude.
Captavia.
Right, I have, and I'm gonna start with probably the less obvious, Witsel, because I was very, very, very close between Enzo Perez and Witsel. So Witsel would be my bench. Then I have the cousin João Felix because of his family, and I'd like to have him on the bench because he's gonna crack in and come in and score some goals. So I'm guessing Melo, you had Felix as well, right?
Yeah. So for sure Felix is in.
Yeah.
So for sure Felix and
Rodrigo.
I would say Witsel because Alex had him as his main guy. Right?
Yeah.
Well, it's fine.
So
We're gonna end up having
Who's your
Rodrigo.
third guy? Who's your third guy?
Exactly,
then?
yeah. Because my third guy, I'm going win. Because this guy is crazy in the head. Sometimes he makes mistakes. Sometimes he gets sent off. I need a goalkeeper in there, so I'm gonna take Oblak with me.
Who?
Oblak. I'm taking him with me.
Oblak.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
good shout.
I'm the kind of person I can't have a bench with no keepers. Like I would be that guy. Like when I play on FIFA, when I play Football Manager, I always have to take the keeper. I don't care. I just have to have a keeper there, and I like having two strong keepers. So Oblak would be my bench because I know if something happens, he's good. Huh?
I always pull the keeper off FIFA.
Me too.
I'm like, fuck it. That's wasted bench space. I put like some random kid in one. If I'm winning good, I want to play this random kid or something like that. You know what I mean?
See.
But I would say the bench though.
So the bench is Rodrigo, Felix, and Witsel because I had Felix
Witsel,
and Melo had Felix.
Witsel,
But then I had Witsel on the bench, but he had it on the pitch. And then you guys are both had Rodrigo. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good.
What a team. One
thing we forgot to mention, we didn't get a chance to think about this. We've had 3 managers this decade, George Jesus, Claudia, Drolage. You take this best 11. You now got these guys in their prime. Who do you want in charge of these guys?
Oh, fuck.
That's easy. If these guys are established, if these guys that we got are established players,
them as we know. So Felix is a
they
kid.
are established. They're not kids. They're not coming from the same shop.
For their
right?
time, you take their time in the season. So you take the João Felix 1 year. Would João Felix play under Jorge Jesus?
That's where you knew where I was going, Mario. You knew where I was going.
But he's on the bench for a reason because he's a kid. And we're thinking.
I want JJ coaching that team.
JJ.
I'm sorry, I do.
It's all good. Don't be sorry, man. Luis. This is a battle to me of like.
Yeah. I'll have
heart.
I'll have JJ.
And kind of and my heart is at Brutalage. My head is at.
I hate saying this so much.
I hate saying this right now. But I think the three of us. I think the three of us agree because
dude,
I think
my heart hurts for the first time in my life, dude. I'm saying it. It's like, yay, fucking idiot. You know, like.
But you know what? Brutalage has never had an established 11 like this.
Okay. Quick thing as well. I know we're talking about coaches and stuff, but because we need to wrap it up as well. Favorite tops. Favorite like obviously for 10 years.
Oh yeah,
I'm wearing the one I my favorite one. You know, red on black. You're wearing your favorite one, right?
The gold logo, man. I love with the 2 stars. This is the.
You're not wearing yours, are you, Melo?
Mine. No, I'm not.
Wait, what's that?
But that's easy.
His is framed.
Yeah. 2017 Benfica kit. Luis is gonna go grab that for us, but there's no doubt that jersey is just too fucking classic, man. The collar, white, Benfica on the white oval, man.
This one, yeah.
It's just too nice, yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah,
that's mine.
That's my jersey of the decade,
yeah.
He just actually people didn't see it, but Luis just quickly did the. We have that hyperloop built out now, and he quickly hopped into Alex's closet. He walked off screen. This is all fake. Alex is not really in California. Luigi's not really in England, Canada. We're somewhere in the Midwest in the same like apartment building, and we just kind of get together.
Yeah, Hey, by the way, Melo, tidy up your room, bro. Fucking hell. Right, anyway.
I will.
Anyway, I think that's the end of that, man. Like, have you got? It's been, I think overall, it's been a positive decade. You know, we won 6 out of. No, wait, we won 6 out of 10, right?
6.
Yeah.
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. I mean, that's positive. That's got to be positive. We hope that would we be happy if we did exactly the same this next decade? 6 titles.
I think anytime.
I'd say 10. 10.
I would take that in a heartbeat.
If you ask me, 10. We're gonna win the next 10 titles. That's it.
That's 11.
I
Yeah,
think
they're gonna have to make up a word for that.
We'll double check the stats, but
yeah, they'll call it. They call it octopus. You know, man.
Yeah.
Nah. There you go.
That's the way they call it.
Yeah, man.
That's what they call us already anyway, right?
This decade will be remembered as the
Shots
decade.
fired.
Oh, we forgot one last moment. The Borussia.
Oh. No, did we mention it on part 1?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think we did. Maybe not. Go and check it out.
We talked about mentioning it. You know, yeah, double check. I forgot if we mentioned the Borussia in the part 1 or not.
If by any chance you've watched until this long in the video and you haven't watched part 1, do it now.
Huh?
Huh?
Que vergonha. These guys.
Que vergonha.
No, yeah, que vergonha. No fucking shame.
Some of the ultimate classics from this season. Culpa de Benfica. Hashtag callinho.
Yeah.
You know, all this bitching and moaning that's happened. I look forward to a very successful new decade of more bitching and moaning, so I can fill whatever the caralho they want to put up here. I'll put up a wall because Benfica takes your goddamn bitching. I need a Benfica Povo, a red octopus one, because you say whatever the fuck you want to say, and we're gonna take it and we're gonna run with it.
I'm gonna head out. I gotta go drop.
No, we all going out, man. We're gonna call it live. Thank you guys for watching the video. Check out Benfica after 90. For part 1, part 2 is here, maybe a part 3 coming up.
Take it
easy, guys.